Hi, I'm Shannon Cyr, and I am the relationship coach for men. Today, we are talking about setting boundaries. This one's always kind of hard for everybody. It's really more about getting started. How do you do that? I mean, we know, in order to have healthy relationships that we have to be able to set healthy and loving boundaries. But setting boundaries is really a topic that most people kind of feel anxious over in some way. I know you've all heard me talk about this before, and at this point, you probably know you need to do it, right? But it's really kind of that how part that's missing. Maybe you need to start doing it more, but you don't really want to upset other people. Maybe you're kind of afraid to set boundaries because you're not really exactly sure what they look like. It could be a little bit of all of those things. But one of the reasons, that we avoid setting boundaries is because we think that setting a boundary has to kind of be delivered with like this edge or this harshness to it, like it's something that's going to be, it has to be a negative, a no, something that pushes people away, just something that's not going to be a good experience, right? But those are all just thoughts, and they're actually not true. And sure, sometimes we may have to get a little more firmer than others, but we don't have to start there, right? So setting a boundary really is just a way of letting another person know you. It can simply be just letting somebody know what you want or what you prefer. Many times we just don't say what we want because we don't want this other person to not like it or not like us or disagree with us, right? We don't want to let them down, by wanting something else, or liking something that they don't like or not liking what they like, so we don't actually tell them what we want. And so this can really be as simple as telling your spouse what you want for dinner, right? So we've all kind of been there or seen it at least. We're asked what we want for dinner, and instead of just saying, I really would like pizza, we don't say that. We say, oh, I don't care. What do you want? Or it doesn't matter. What would you like? So maybe that sounds familiar, right? A boundary can also just be kind of stating what works for you or what you like, letting your partner know when they do something that you love or that just feels good for you. So boundaries can really also just be showing people positive things and just letting them in, so they know you. Oftentimes, people that are overstepping boundaries, they don't know they're doing it because we have never told them. So the first time you do it, they might be surprised, and that's okay. We can still set a boundary and really honor ourselves and do it without edge, even if we have to express something that doesn't work for us or that we don't want or that we don't like. We just have to start, really. And so one way to get started at setting boundaries is to say no without explaining yourself. Just simply saying no and not having to justify it. In general, it's something that we tend to not do very well. Usually someone will make a request or they'll ask us something, and then when we go to tell them no, we have this feeling, like we need a reason or we need an excuse for not doing what they've asked of us, right? But we don't have to do that. And with some practice, we can get better and better at that and really feel more comfortable being in that space, right? So, you can start by saying something like, oh, no, thank you. Or, oh, no, that doesn't work for me. Or just no, right? It's going to be uncomfortable at first. And there's going to be, a few seconds of silence in there when you just say no and nothing after. But really, they're probably not going to ask you a whole lot more questions after you say this, especially if you haven't done this before. And you're right, they may not like it, but that's okay. You can let it be uncomfortable, because we can all do uncomfortable things, for a few seconds. When you can just say no, thank you though, that's a really powerful statement. You don't have to start out saying no to something big. It can be something small. You just have to start practicing. So maybe you get an invitation to something and you can say, no, that doesn't work for me, but have a great time. So there's no edge there. There's no sarcasm. Just there's nothing there, right? Or you could just say, oh, that's not going to work for me, but thank you. Really, any version of that is great. You're not ruining a relationship just by saying no to what's been asked. You can always say no, but thank you for thinking of me. Please keep me in mind for next time. If that's actually true. If you really don't want to be invited again, then you really don't want to say that, right? You can simply just say no, thank you. Or, oh, that's not going to work for me, but thank you for asking, right? So, that phrase, that's not going to work for me, it also works for behavior as well, so if, saying something doesn't work for you, it's a way of letting somebody know when they've overstepped the boundary, so maybe you've noticed your partner is always interrupting you or talking over you and raising their voice, every time you try to speak. You can say, I've noticed that you're not really listening to me and you keep interrupting me. When I try to talk, you raise your voice and you keep speaking over me, and that just isn't going to work for me, right? If you don't say anything, then they are not going to know that they overstepped it. And you're likely going to see the behavior again, right? So it may feel uncomfortable at first to speak up, but remember, you can do uncomfortable things. And the other person isn't going to know unless you tell them. So I hope this gave you some things to think about just when you think about boundaries and want to kind of start into that you can start small and just build from there. Once you get really comfortable just saying no and setting boundaries on the smaller issues, you'll be able to move on to the larger ones as well. If you liked what you heard, I hope you'll give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. I come out with new information every week. If you would like to explore the possibility of us working together in a private coaching capacity, I offer you to schedule a complimentary exploratory session with me. All my best.